Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about 5 ways in which I am not minimalist. And right off the bat here, I just want to dispel a common misconception that I think that a lot of people hold about minimalism. I find that a lot of people tend to think of minimalism as being less for the sake of less. They picture large empty spaces and blank white walls and think that that's what minimalism is all about. But they couldn't be farther from the truth. The point of minimalism isn't about owning nothing. It's about being intentional with what you own and decluttering the excess and simplifying in areas where you might have more than you need so that you can make space for what's important to you. And of course, because everyone has unique values and interests, what enough looks like in a certain area is going to look different from person to person. So today I want to share with you 5 ways in which I am not a minimalist to hopefully give you some inspiration on how minimalism can look different when applied to different people. So let's dive right into this. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. But let's get started with the first way in which I am not a minimalist, and that is that I own a lot of plants. And you might have already guessed this one just by looking at the background of my video, but if I was to go around my house, I probably would have somewhere between 15 to 20 plants. And that's a lot. And the funny thing is the number of plants that I own has actually grown significantly since I adopted that more minimalist lifestyle. But over the past few years, I've discovered that I get a ton of enjoyment from taking care of my plants, from watching them grow and sprouting new leaves. So even though I own way more than a minimal amount of plants, I have no problem with owning more because it's something that I love and that brings me joy. And if that ever changes, sure, I might get rid of some of my plants, pass them on to a good home or whatever. But for the time being, they all add a tremendous amount of value to my life, and so I'm happy to keep them in it. Okay, the second area of my life where I'm not at all minimalist is in my tea collection, and I don't use that word lightly. I probably have somewhere in the range of 30 teas in my tea cabinet. And again, this is a part of my daily routine that I absolutely love. I probably drink 3 to 4 cups a day of tea on average. I'm very Canadian in that sense. But again, like my plants where I enjoy all the varieties and unique features of each plant I own, I feel the same way about different kinds of tea. I love trying out different flavors and discovering new favorites. And you'll see this theme in many of the areas where I am not so minimal, but there's also a very hygge element to drinking a warm cup of tea that just makes me feel so calm and at peace. All right, let's talk about the third area where I am not particularly minimal, and that is in my consumption of media. I thought it was really funny a few weeks ago when I posted my evening routine where Christopher and I watched an episode or 2 of Netflix at the end of the night, and so many of you commented back and said, "Oh wow, I was surprised you did this." I feel like most minimalists don't watch TV. And while sure, I might try to make sure that I'm not binging too many shows on Netflix, I do still consume a good amount of media, whether that's Netflix, TV, or podcasts. I'm a big fan of the saying, everything in moderation is a good thing. And I think that's definitely true when it comes to media consumption. While we can definitely sometimes go overboard with our media consumption and end up wasting hours upon hours of our lives, I think that media, whether that's TV shows, podcasts, books, movies, this can all add value and entertainment and joy to our lives when done and consumed in moderation. And so I'm happy to listen to a few podcast episodes throughout the day or watch a TV show or 2 with Christopher at night. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's relaxing, and it's a great way to wind down. Okay, I feel like this one goes against the grain a bit more than some of the others I've talked about so far, but that's that I like physical books and have several of them. Over the past few years, I've seen a big push in the minimalist world towards Kindles and ebooks and basically just any kind of digital form of book so that you don't have to have a physical copy. And while in many areas of my life I do prefer the digital version of something, for me, physical books have a very hygge element to them that you just can't quite get when you're reading from your phone or a Kindle. I love the smell of a new book and the feeling of turning pages. For me, reading isn't just an intellectual experience, it's a sensory one as well. And not only that, but I also find that I tend to ingest more information when I'm reading from a physical book as well as when I'm reading from an online manuscript. My eyes tend to gloss over the wording a bit more. So naturally, I don't have a massive book collection. I'm not going to keep a book if I don't plan on reading it or rereading it. But at the same time, I probably own more physical books than you might expect. And finally, let's end with number 5, and that is board games. Christopher and I both love board games, and as such, we own quite a few of them. Whether it's to play Settlers of Catan, Monopoly Deal, or Ticket to Ride, one of our favorite things to do is to have friends and family over for game nights. And so really they become a fantastic way of bringing people together, helping strangers to become friends, and really facilitating some awesome relationships. So in one sense, yes, board games are a physical possession, but at the same time, they unlock some really cool experiences that you couldn't necessarily replicate without the game itself. But of course, if you've ever played the same board game 5 times in a row, you can probably relate to the fact that it's nice to have some variety. So in the past few years, we've really curated our board games, ones that we love and can play and enjoy again and again. So that's it. Those are 5 areas of my life where I don't live particularly minimally, but I hope this inspires you and maybe just opens your eyes to the fact that minimalism doesn't have to look the same from person to person. I might own more in some areas of my life than you do, and that's okay. These are things that add value to my life, and if they don't for you, maybe you should minimize in those areas. But if there are other areas that I didn't mention where you want to own more because it's something that gives you a lot of value and joy, then by all means, you can still call yourself a minimalist and own a lot of video games or books or anything else. Like we were talking about before, minimalism isn't about less for the sake of less. It's about less so that you can make space for what's important to you. And that is unique to you. So now I want to know, what is one way where you're not particularly minimalist? Be sure to comment that down below. And if you're here for the first time and enjoyed this video and have not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living content coming at you twice a week. That is everything for today's video, though. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.